What's up, y'all? It's Coach Danny Renee, and welcome to the Millennial Network. Right here, we have Brian, aka Rich Boi. Brian is a tax professional, tax expert. He's been going all places that you can think of as far as traveling. He has different tax locations, franchises, whatever. But Brian, tell us about how you got into the tax game and why is your name Rich Boi?
All right. So first of all, I got into the tax game because actually I had businesses a long time ago since I was a millennial, and I got into a little situation where I got incarcerated, and I had businesses, and so my partner sent me the tax papers, and when I looked them over, I wasn't comfortable with some of the things on there, so I'd asked somebody to review it for me. So I had one guy that he started reviewing it, and he saw my interest. He saw that I was excited about asking questions. I was excited to learn, and it really was intriguing to me. So he was like, "You want to learn this?" And I said, "Yeah." So after that, I just started going to the library, getting books, learning it, mastering the craft, sitting down with them, understanding. And what I realized was this was the perfect business for me because it's a business where it's continuous learning. I love continuous learning. I love to learn new stuff. It's a business basically that was geared around doing math. And I used to love math. My favorite subject was math. So with that, it was like, this is perfect. And you get to interact with people. So as he continued to teach me, I started learning the business side of it and business taxes, which then that allowed me to take my business to a whole nother level. And that's pretty much in a nutshell how I kind of got into the business. But the beautiful thing is the business got into me. And so I love it. I love it.
Nice. So how long ago would you say you got into the tax business?
I'm going into my 25th year in the tax business now. You know,
Okay,
and,
awesome.
and that's a beautiful thing because I see a lot of people kind of just fly by night, jump in and doing tax time. But the one thing that I did was I wanted to really get in and master. I didn't want it to be a a part-time thing. A lot of people get in it for the 4 months, try to make some money. But my thing is if I can master it and I can do this all year round, that's money that I'll be making for the whole year, as well as educating people. And so I wanted to do that because I understood if I can make the bulk of my money in 4 months, this is where the Rich Boi part come in because people understood and liked my lifestyle. And I love to travel. I love to do things. And that's how the Rich Boi kind of came about is because one of my partners was always calling me Rich Boi, man, you be on the move, you be gone, you be doing things. But then I took it from a standpoint of business. I love the whole Rich Boi concept, but I turned it to where it wasn't just about my lifestyle. It was about my passion. And my passion is teaching and educating people business, taxes, and all of those things. So Rich Boi actually stands for really interested in caring how businesses operate internally. And I always say we got to understand an internal part. That internal part is your foundation. If your foundation in business is not right, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. So you got to get that internal. So that I in Rich Boi is so important. And I just took that concept of Rich Boi and rocked with it.
That's real because, like you said, it's all internal. And, the success of anything has to be built on a strong foundation. And right now, because of the internet, the information age, there's a lot of experts out here and they're teaching people how to get into certain industries, but they're making it seem so easy. Like, hey, get into this industry and make this much money, like what is it? Temporary entrepreneurs or whatever, or most people they'll get into like any type of industry and then they realize failure early on, so they get out of it. But a lot of times it's because most people they don't have the coaching, they don't want to spend the money on the coaching, or they don't want to spend the time in developing that foundation. So this podcast is obviously geared towards millennials. Are you a millennial?
Not anymore. Not
Not
anymore.
anymore. Okay. So obviously, you're not a millennial, but the millennials like age range right now is from age 25 to 40. So I think they got like the young millennials, like 25 to 32. And then the older millennials, like age 33 to 40. So we have this wide range of millennials, right? And then I
Yeah.
think what makes it, us get that term is because we're the biggest generation out there, next to the baby boomers, right? So knowing that when you, like you say, you started about 25 years ago. So when you first started, how did you get into the tax industry? And what were some of the mistakes that you made when you first started off?
Well, one of the main mistakes, and like I said, and the reason why I love talking with millennials and I've done seminars from it, because when I started business, I was in that millennial age frame. And so I can speak from experience, with that and things that you're going to face. And one of the biggest challenges and mistakes that I made was thinking that everybody that I knew, everybody that I associated with, be it friends, be it family, be it people that I just knew, I thought they were going to be my clients, and a lot of times we make moves thinking that we got a big network of circle, but your personal circle is not the same as your business circle.
Very true.
And what I do is I when I speak and I give seminars or lectures, whatever, I give Kleenex out sometimes because I tell people, I want you to have this Kleenex to wipe the tears away now. Because if you can now get it out of your system and cry about it, you won't cry about it later. And what I mean by that is that your friends, your A1s from day ones, your family members, your parents, a lot of them not going to support you in your business. So believing you have a big network of circle of people that's going to support you, it just don't happen like that. And unfortunately, I'm not saying that's every single situation, but that's the most of them. That making a mistake of, I'm going to make all of these moves because I'm going to make this amount of money because I know these amount of people. And I think one of the things I did was I made moves thinking that I had a big network of people who was going to support me. But once I started my business, I didn't see any of those people. So it kind of left me high and dry for a second because I'm buying certain things, doing certain things, thinking I'm going to have this amount of revenue coming up. So just be mindful of that before you actually go out and spend money on things thinking you have all of these clients. Get the clients, and then you basically make the move to advance your business.
Nice. So, it's funny that you say that because most people, when they get into any industry, you would think that your friends and family members and in sales world, they call it like your natural warm market, right? Your warm market is kind of where you get your experience, or they're going to you're going to get your experience in every industry, right? You're going to get your first no's or different things. And then part of the reason is because they see you one way, they've known you like, kind of like in the financial industry, if they known you broke, all the time and begging for money, and you're like, hey, now I'm a financial advisor, they're going to be the last person to trust you with their money. So there is that growth into your role as well. But that kind of like goes back to what you're saying as far as foundation, because your foundation, just think of Nike and all these different places. They're not going to market to just their friends and family starting off. Like, they have a target audience, and they designed this, what we call as an avatar. They designed this avatar, and that's how they got into it. So let's go into the millennial age. What makes taxes different now than when you first started, and what's some mistakes that you've made?
Well, the difference, taxes are no different now than it was before. I think the access to the information is more prevalent now because you have the internet, you have YouTube, so you can get a lot of the information much quicker. You can kind of learn about the do's and don'ts a lot quicker, now than you did before. You can finish tax returns a lot faster now because of the software does everything for you. But again, in the beginning, what I had to learn was it wasn't about the quantity. I guess one of the mistakes I made is the quantity again, is thinking I can give all these different people, I can make this much money. But when I learned that it's more about the quality than the quantity, I made way more money because I was able to sell value. And if I'm able to sell value, you don't lose clients. People don't mind paying whatever your price is. So I had to learn that early on, that everybody wasn't my client. I didn't need to take every single person that come, because some people were just headaches. Some people basically was going to give me more just talk back, just phone calls, frustration than their money was worth. So when I decided to concentrate on a specific clientele, which primarily were business owners, that's when I started to see my business flourish. And a lot of it again was back then when I first started, talking about 25 years ago, it wasn't as many people that were entrepreneurs. And so now when you start talking about this day and time, when you get into this industry, you not only have to learn personal tactics, you got to learn business tactics because everybody has some type of business. And I think that's one of the mistakes that's being made now is people just been doing things the way they've been doing them. And what you have to learn is you got to grow with your process in life. So, when I say that is that if you basically have a business, and this is what I had to learn personally too, as I started growing in my business, I had to have another set of friends. I had to have a different circle. And so I wanted to be true to my people in the beginning, but I wasn't growing. I was making money a little bit, but I wasn't really growing. Even though I was young, I made good money before I hit 30, I was easily making six figures in less than a year. And so I was making decent money for a young person, but I wasn't really growing as much because I never changed my circle of people. So when I hit that wall, I'm like, okay, I'm doing all right, but why is it not going much faster and much further now? Because I didn't change that circle. So once I changed my circle, and that was a mistake I made, is just trying to be loyal to everybody I knew and loved and didn't want to separate myself from them, but I wanted a particular next level lifestyle. And you can't do both. You can't stick with the people that you did hit the wall with and get the next level lifestyle. You got to find a new circle of people.
Right. You got to just keep growing. I do like that response because you hear so many different people out here telling you that, you need to let your friends go and there's some different things like that. If you guys like goals aren't aligned or blah, blah, blah. But then you hear somebody like Les Brown say that you got to understand these circles because the people who you do business with may not be the same person you want to go have a drink with and different things. That's why it's lawsuits and, stuff like that, because people have a little bit of alcohol and they start to, say or do things that's inappropriate. Right. So let's paint the avatar of two different people. Right. So my audience, millennial entrepreneurs, a lot of them go from their job, right, to entrepreneurship. So we're talking about, let's paint two avatars. First avatar is going to be the person who started their own business and they're trying to understand taxes and tax advantages and different things like that. And we have this person who wants to actually start their own tax business. So let's go to the first avatar. Say, for instance, I'm this person and I start my business and I want to be like Trump or Mitt Romney. Well, not like them, right? But I want to be like them in the sense that I understand taxes, but to be honest, I don't want to pay anything on taxes. I want to keep as much money as possible. What are some things that you would recommend to a new entrepreneur? Because I'm pretty sure it's different if someone has a job versus if they're new and they don't have a job. So what are some things like immediately they can do to take advantage of the tax system?
And the one thing is make sure that you talk to, it's two different, I always say it's two different people. It's tax preparers and it's tax professionals.
Mm-hmm.
A tax preparer can just do your taxes and that's it. A tax professional or a tax strategist is going to give you ideas on what you need to do to start positioning yourself to save money or grow. So most people, you need to find, especially once you start getting a business, and we talk about entrepreneurs, you need to get a tax professional.
So would you say you're that professional? You're a tax professional, or would you say you're the preparer?
I'm a tax professional. I'm a tax strategist because I'm going to give you strategy on ways to save money, ways to grow your business, ways to get it to the next. So I'm not just going to put your stuff in this, because a tax preparer for the most part, going to put your stuff in the computer, let the computer do it and say, this is what you're getting back. This is what you owe. They're not going to give you strategies and say, well, if you owe, what can I do not to owe? They don't know. They just using whatever the computer said. That's where you have to stay away from when you start to make levels in business. And so one of the things I tell people to do is is get somebody like that, because the first thing they may tell you is start an LLC. Now everybody hear that. I get a million people. That's my specialty is business. I get everybody come to me and say, I started an LLC. And I say, why? The first thing they say is because somebody told me I can't get sued personally. And that's factual. So you separate yourself from the business. But nobody ever tell anybody about the tax consequences with that. Because if you show money, you still have to pay double taxes on the LLC. This is something
you have to pay double taxes on the LLC?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain that a little bit more?
And so what happens is with the LLC, when you're what we call a single member LLC, meaning I got a business by myself, I'm starting the LLC. I was supposed to do that because I want to be registered with the Secretary of State. The LLC is still subject to the same taxes as what we call a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is somebody who just started a business, didn't register with the LLC, but they're a legitimate business. They do business. They just ain't registered with the state. They have to pay they have to pay double taxes, but they also are responsible for anything that happens to the business. That means if somebody sued a business, they're suing me personally.
And that's what the
proprietor.
Sole proprietor. Okay.
So with the sole proprietorship, I want to transition and become an LLC, because now with the LLC, I separate from myself from the business, meaning if somebody sued a business, they can't sue me personally. But the LLC still have to pay double taxes the same way the sole proprietor does. You just have the protection of not being sued. Now, the reason why I tell you got to learn this is because the likelihood of you being sued is almost 0 to none. In 25 years, I haven't seen nobody got sued yet. But I've seen a lot of people pay double taxes. And so the reason why that's important is because if I have to show income, if I'm trying to buy a house, if I'm trying to buy a rental property, if I'm trying to get a line of credit, a business loan, or whatever, I usually have to show that my business is making money. If my business is making money, I got to pay double taxes. Most of the time, people are not going to show that they make money because they don't want to pay the double taxes.
Very true.
But if I don't show that I'm making money. I'm sorry,
say that again. You said if you show?
If I show money, I pay double taxes. If I don't show any money, because I don't want to show money because I don't want to pay the double taxes. But if I don't show the money, I can't acquire nothing. And this is what I tell young people that you got to understand. My millennials, you have to understand. Rich and successful people play with other people's money.
Yes.
They play with other people's money. And what happens is we didn't got talked into and tell people, oh, well, no, I don't like owing nobody. I don't like this. So we don't go get lines of credits and loans and things like, yes, it's okay, because there's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt means I take somebody else's money, I use their money to go triple my money. Because I might need their money to go buy this piece of machine or supplies that I need to take my business to the next level. Bad debt. So that's good debt. That means I owe somebody, but I use their money to make triple my money. Now I can take the triple money and go pay off what I owe them. And I don't owe them no more. And now I'm ahead of the game. Bad debt is what we always hear about. Bad debt is when I go get some money from somebody and I go get things that don't give me a return on my investment. If I go out and buy some clothes, I go shopping, I buy shoes. So now I'm in debt, but I'm in debt to things that's not going to make me money to help me pay for this money that I borrowed from somebody else. So we got to learn the difference. And so this is why I talk about in business, when you first start as a millennial, you want to get an LLC. You want to make your business legit because now it's going to be registered with the Secretary of State. So that's one of the first things you want to do. And then you learn the game. See, it's a game that's been played that we had never heard about. And it's called S corporations. Like this S corporation, you have LLCs, you have S corporations. A S corporation, you can show the same amount of money and pay half the taxes. So when we hear about all of these rich and successful people that pay no taxes or very little taxes, they run everything through their corporation.
So do you start with the LLC first and then get the S corp? Like, explain.
Yeah,
I know you're going into it more. I don't want to cut you off, but explain it a little bit more.
Well, you start the LLC because it's simple to start, but the S corporation is another form of entity. And with that form of entity, you don't have to do a whole corporation. What you can do is there's two forms that you can fill out: the 8832 form and a 2553 form. And it says, I'm electing to be taxed as a corporation, even though I'm an LLC. So it's called an election form. So I want to stay an LLC because the LLC is very simple. But the election saying, I want to be taxed as an S corporation, because an S corporation does not pay any business taxes, zero. This is the biggest loophole that's been around forever that we just don't know about. So when we talk about Trump and Romney and all of them not paying no taxes, because they run everything through their corporations. If you think about it,
let me put this out there because it's going on the internet. I'm not saying they don't, they claim that they're not paying taxes. And that's why as politicians, they always asking for their, for them to prove if they pay taxes. I don't want to go on the record saying that, they don't pay, because I don't know. But yeah, so, just to save me from that.
Taxes. They pay very little, if any. Taxes. This is why Amazon say they paid zero taxes and got a refund, and all these big companies, because they understand how to play this game. They run everything through the business. And one of the things when you talk about telling millennials when they get ready to start their business, what they need to do, you need to first operate your business as a business. I don't care what level it's on, treat it as a business. Get a business bank account, get an LLC, get a tax ID number, treat it like a business from day one. Because when you start respecting something more, it gives you a better return. So if I'm just basically doing my business as a hustle, it's probably not going to grow. I'm probably not going to make a lot of money from it. But if I do all things and I set it up properly, and then I understand the tax part of it, because I tell you, don't get mad at Trump. Don't get mad at Romney. Don't get mad at Warren Buffett and all them who talk about they pay very little taxes. Learn to play the game.
Right. Because they, like, when you look at some of these billionaires and you look on the financial statements, it shows that most of them make $1 from their company. That's literally their salary. But people that know, like you were saying, is that they don't really get paid $1. It's just all their money is ran through the business. Yes. Which if they were to cash out liquid, they may not necessarily be a billionaire liquid, but through cash, that's their worth. They can literally buy almost anything, right?
Yeah, but it's assets. And this is what I was telling someone yesterday. It was like, well, how can they get all them things? I said, because they don't work in the same arena as most people. Like most of the time, especially in our community, we have to show income on our business, our tax returns, because we don't have assets. Because see, if you have assets, you don't need money. Because that means if I own things, I can leverage the things I own against whatever I'm trying to get. Banks will give me money if I have a house that have equity. They'll give me money. And so I don't need money to do that. So we got to understand, we got to have assets. And this is why I try to teach people young, understanding assets. Assets is something that you own that actually accumulates value and more money as time go on. And don't take away money to your life. And so this is why assets. And this
simple definition.
Exactly. A simple definition. But I tell people, get mad at Oprah, get mad at Jay-Z, get mad at me, because the thing is, you ain't put here to pay taxes. You got to learn how to play the game. And the reason why I say get mad at Jay-Z, though, because even Jay-Z brags about it. And I forgot the name. If you listen to the Meek Mill song on Championship, on his Championship CD, he has a song with him, Rick Ross, and Jay-Z. And I don't know why Rick Ross on there, but that's another story. But he talked about being a billionaire and having an accountant that he basically pay no taxes. He talks about it.
He has an accountant that pays no taxes?
No, he has an accountant that helps him pay no tax. He's a billionaire that has an accountant that basically helps him pay no taxes. So he Jay-Z kind of brags on it. So I'm like, if you're gonna get mad at Trump, get mad at Jay-Z for not paying taxes. Why? Why are you mad at people who not paying taxes? Learn the game.
Because they don't understand the game. So let's go back to you saying getting this S Corp. You said get the LLC first because it's easy, then get the S Corp. Yeah. When? Do you do it immediately? You wait a certain amount of time? Do you have to do something in between the process? Like, walk us through that.
Yes, you want to do it when you start your LLC, when you first form it. 95% of the people don't know about it, so normally you have to go back and do it. I would say if you listening to this and you start your LLC, you do that process while you're basically doing your LLC as well. If you already have your LLC and you didn't know about this, you can go back and do it now. You can do it right now, okay. And if you need to go back retroactive to when you first started your LLC, you can, or you can say, well, no, I'm gonna just do it for the next year. So you can actually do that. But I would say as soon as you form your LLC, as soon as you know about this, and as soon as you understand it, put it in motion.
Now, where do people go? So if they already started it, I don't know if the answer is different, but if they have already had an LLC prior and now they want to file that S Corp, or if they just got the LLC and they're ready to immediately do it, where do they go? Where are some examples?
Go to the IRS website. It's irs.gov. And I say, again, it's the two forms, 8832, Form 8832, and Form 2553 are the two forms that you would do that with. And so it's like the forms are a little bit complicated. The word is trickery, on there. So we do get a lot of people to call us to ask, can we help them with it? And so typically we do, but I always give people the option to go out and try to do things on their own, and take a look at it and see if it's something that you can do, because I'm a big advocate of researching, and I want people to research, because when you research stuff about your own business, you actually understand it more. You understand your industry more. You understand the business more. So I always try to give people that option to kind of look into things themselves. And then you come back after the fact, with some questions, because you may have read some stuff and you just need some clarity on it, and that's what I want you to do. And this is why, again, when you talk about young people starting their business and things they need to do research about the industry. One of the reasons why I just recently created a business plan is it's a modified business plan. It's not 35 pages and all that, but it's really to get in there so you can start with the business plan. And it's for young people, where you go and you answer questions like, who's your competitor? Most people get in business don't even know who their competition. They'll tell you they don't have no competition. Somebody got to be buying. If it's not a product that you just invented, that means somebody buying that concept from somebody else somewhere.
Exactly. Or if you just invented it, you invented it for a reason, because you saw a market out there.
Exactly. And then even if you created a market, now even on the business plan is, all right, who's my targeted market? So you got to answer those. Then not only who's my targeted market, how am I going to market it? Am I going to use TV, radio, social media, referrals? So you got to answer. And a lot of people don't answer those questions. So I tell young people, again, when you first start your business, get the answers to all of the questions that's out there, as many as you can. And that's what the business plan does. It actually helps them find out, all right, all these different things. Most of the time, people don't even know how much to charge. They don't even understand the pricing structure of why they need to charge what they're charging. Some people say, well, you're charging way too low. Well, why? Because I don't want people to, but you ain't in business to break even.
And don't understand your market too, if that's the case.
Understand the market. So, that's what I would say is definitely with starting a new business, structure it right, and then basically find out, who your market, what's your price point, and all of those things.
Definitely. Because like with low prices, a lot of times come a lower market, a lower income market, and then which usually sometimes cause more problems, because the more money that someone put into something, the more like they're going to take that a lot more serious. Right. So
yes.
Let's go back to you saying the LLC and the S Corp, since this is, one of the hidden gems. Does the LLC become the parent company? And then when they fill out the S Corp paperwork, do they list the LLC? Like, how do you combine the two? Or is it just combined when you file your taxes?
Well, you basically are not, it's really not it's not going to be the two separate entities. It's still going to be one entity. You're still going to be the LLC. So you still going to be if somebody say, well, what's your structure of your business? I'm an LLC, but I get taxed as an S corporation. So I'm an LLC, but I use the rules for taxes as an S corp. That's why I just call it an election. It's called an S corp election, because I'm electing to just be taxed as an S corp. So I'm not an S corporation. I'm an LLC that's being taxed as a corporation. So when I file my taxes, I'm filing it as an S corporation. So I'm filing on what we call a form 1120S, which is for S corporation, because that's where I would pay the taxes on any money I made. So you're not changing the entity, you're just changing the way you're going to be taxed on your LLC.
Got it. So say, for instance, right now it's October, almost the middle of October. If they started in LLC, if they started an LLC sometime this year, and they decided to start an S corp, when they file taxes next year, are they able to file now under that S corp? Is there like a limit or even statute of limitations on that?
Because it's too late in the year, because you have to actually send those forms into the IRS. The IRS have to process them, review them, and then they're going to send you a letter stating you've been elected as an S corporation to be taxed as an S corporation. So probably right now, you would actually, if you was to do it right now, you wouldn't set it up for this year to be taxed as. It would probably be for year 2022 taxes that you would actually, not 2021 tax, 2022 taxes, because you wouldn't start that process and you probably won't get the paperwork back to 2022.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So I think I think because of COVID, there are more people that has really committed to starting some form of business, because we look at the pay nowadays, companies aren't really paying, their pay is not increasing with inflation, right?
Yeah.
So we know that their pay isn't increasing with inflation, and more people are like, I don't like having to go into work, like especially more millennials, right? More us millennials, we have more jobs to opportunities than our previous generations. So knowing that information and knowing that there are so many businesses out here, with most people first experience with business is network marketing companies. I know I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki. He was saying how a lot of people should start in that space so that they can learn, like you were saying earlier, the business foundation before they get into other stuff. And some people actually do very well in those industries and different things. But I think one of the things that's lacking in those type of companies is that most people aren't taught, mentored to properly put together a business. Like they are to an extent, but like how you mentioned all the different marketing strategies, those aren't expressed enough on. There are other ways that you can market because just how the industry is. So like you were saying, and obviously it could be company specific. I think most of these industries, everyone's getting paid kind of like a 1099. So knowing that they're starting off as a 1099, but they want to take advantage of a business, and like you mentioned, S Corp or LLC, how can they turn that 1099 and turn that into the best benefit for them tax-wise?
Yeah, and it's big that you mentioned that, though, because there's some new tax laws about to change the game. Like it's about to change the game, and I'll speak on that. But I'm gonna go back for a second. When you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad. Pretty much in all my seminars, I'll bring up that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the reason why I bring it up is because every time I'm speaking, like I've been on 2 tours for the last maybe 4 to 5 months, and we've been going around the country speaking. And every time I ask the audience, had y'all read Rich Dad Poor Dad? I'll get more than half of the room to say, yeah, they read it. But nobody have any idea about the corporation stuff, the S Corp that I'm talking about. But he has a whole chapter 17 in that book.
Really?
That everybody reads right past it because taxes ain't sexy.
I ain't do that. This was over a decade ago, but I get what you're saying though.
Taxes ain't sexy. So when they see that, they may have read it and it just went over their head because it ain't nothing that you think apply to you. But he put this in the book. What I'm talking about with the S Corp stuff right now, this has been around for 23 years. And I tell them to give me the credit because I'm telling you about it.
Hey,
But it
that's
ain't
bar.
new. Kiyosaki been putting this out for years. And so this is why one of the reasons why I like him, because he's basically anti-tax too. If you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, he'll talk about not paying taxes.
Yeah.
And like he said, do you think if I was saying anything illegal, I would have all these videos? I would be on video telling you not to pay taxes if it was illegal. So that's why I like Kiyosaki from that aspect. And so he talked about this. Now, going into the 1099s, one of the main things that millennials have to understand is when you get these 1099s, you are considered a business. So when you are a 1099 independent contractor, you are considered a business in the IRS eyes, because you are not an employee, because employees get W-2s. Anything other than a W-2, you're self-employed to the IRS. Now, it's a gift and a curse on that. So one thing I want you to be conscious of when you get 1099s, because I love the network marketing industry as well. I tell people that's the first place I would rather, if you don't know what type of business to start, look into network marketing. Because again, with network marketing, you can choose. If you're into food, there's network stuff that has food. If you're into health and nutrition, there's industries for health and nutrition. If you're into travel, if you're into whatever you can get in network marketing. Again, the overhead to get in, people say, oh, they want $4.99 to get in there. Well, the hell you gonna start a business for $4.99? Like, you gotta put some money into the business, but they're giving you a website, they're giving you mentorship, they're giving you calls. That stuff in itself is worth thousands.
Yes.
It's definitely worth it. And even if you had a traditional job, and I'm saying this to change people's psyche, because they say, well, you got to pay $99 a month after that. If you had a traditional business, you would have to buy supplies and do things every month anyway. You got to maintain, you got to have GoDaddy and all these different accounts for your website. So you got to pay money for that anyway. So look at it as an investment.
Which is also a write-off.
Yeah, which is a tax write-off as well. So when you get the 1099, you can write off all the expenses associated with whatever job you had to do to get the 1099. So if you had to use your gas, mileage, cell phone, home office, going out to eat, travel, all of those things can be written off. So even with that 1099, you can take all of those things as a tax break. Now, the LLC, I would still tell you the game is if you get a 1099, because again, you are treated as a sole proprietor, independent contractor. The IRS look at you as a business. So I can use that same concept even as a 1099 contractor. I can go and LLC myself and have the company pay to the business. So when I get that 1099 now, it comes in my business name under my tax ID number and not under my personal name and my social. Because you want to get everything away from your social when it comes to business. So with that 1099, the concept can still be the same. The only thing is you just have to tell whoever's giving you that 1099, I want you to put it in my tax ID number and my business name as opposed to my social and my personal name. You go get the LLC the same way, and you get the S Corp election. So even if I'm working multi-level marketing, even if I'm working as an independent contractor, I can use this same concept. It works around the board.
Even in because you're making me wonder. I think how my business, they pay us out is 1099. And I remember having a conversation, and it could be because it's the financial space. And with the financial, because it's a federally regulated industry, you have to
do it.
Use your name and your social and different things like that. So I'm assuming there's a situation, like in my case, where you can't necessarily do it. So what would be a loophole around that then?
Well, in some industries, like the insurance industry was like that as well, the traditional insurance. was like that at one time, but now a lot of those companies are bending. They're letting people get the 1099s in their business. Now, financial services, again, some companies are fighting, especially the big companies. They're not doing as much. Some of the independent companies, they're allowing. So, yeah, so it all depends, again, on that company, if they're willing to do that or not. If it's federally regulated, then they may not be able to do it for security purposes. Now, like you said,
Gotcha.
a way around it is the only other way you got to get around it is you got to make sure you keep up with every single expense, because you still able, even though you're not able to put it under, the S corp, you still can write off every single thing that you spend money on that's related to your business. So if you go into network events, the mileage that you use to go there, the admission cost, if there's a fee to get in there, if you have to travel to conferences or seminars, if you have to go meet clients, all of that stuff becomes business deductions. So that means if I made $100,000 and I spent out I spent out 25,000, I'm only getting taxed on 75,000 as opposed to the 100. So I made 100, but I'm taxed on 75. So this is where one of the only loopholes you have with that is making sure you keep very detailed records of everything that you spend that's related to business.
Nice. So what about, let's take this, because I think this is one of the biggest challenges that people have. So when they get a job, the first thing that we receive when we accept that job outside of the offer and everything is we get the W-4, right? I always get W-2 and W-4 mixed up. It's a W-4. So we get a W-4. I remember my very first job, I was like, 16? My mom was just like, hit 0. And with my clients, when I sit down with them, because, everybody get a tax refund, and that's how some people even go their tax practices, is because of the refund. But if they had access to that refund throughout the year, that's debt that they could have been gotten rid of. That's interest that they could have been gotten rid of, right? That's investment money that they could have utilized throughout the year to generate a higher rate of return. So when they're first sitting down and then they look at that W-4, how can I put myself in the best position to where I'm paying less on taxes, or I'm giving the government less money so that I can use this money throughout the year to do whatever I want while I'm still growing my business?
Yeah. But know what it starts with? It starts with a mindset shift. Because see, we've been caught up with getting those big refunds. We want those big refunds, but not realizing. And this is why I tell people when I do my calls, and I say, don't tell me. When I tell people, I say, well, you need to start investing in some life insurance. You need to start investing in some things that's going to secure your future. Oh, well, I don't have it. Money tight. I say, you got money. I tell people from the taxes, because if you get a $5,000 refund, that means that you got probably $150, $200 a month in your money that they're taking out that you can bring home extra to invest in something else. So the W-4, when you make the adjustment and say, you got to change the mindset and say, well, you know what? I want my money throughout the year. I don't care about no refund at the end. If I break even, I'm good. But if I can get my money every pay period, or extra money every pay period, I can take this money, I can go and invest. I can put it into my savings. I can take a trip if I want to. So you have money. It's just locked up into your taxes. The W-4 actually allows you to get more money. Now, what happens is in 2018, they changed the tax law. When they changed the tax law, they changed, oh man, it's this crippling, folk. They changed the W-4 in the way it looks. If you look at the new W-4, the first thing you're going to do is say, well, where did I claim 1? Where did I claim 2? Where did I claim 0? Because we always come to, that's all we knew. We knew, all right, what if I claim 3? How much they going to take out? If I claim 0, they're going to take the most out. The form is not like that no more. So it's jamming people all up. And they don't know if they haven't enough taken out, if they haven't too much taken out. This is where the tax strategists come in at. This form is so confusing to the point where I get payroll companies to call me to get a better understanding how to fill this out. Because people in HR now don't know how to fill it out. When I get people, I'll say, well, go to your HR person. They'll come back and say, well, Brian, my HR person say they don't quite understand it.
Because they're not trained on it.
Yeah, it don't have the 0. It don't have the 1 no more. So this is the game we got to learn how to play this too, because if we want more of our money back throughout the year, which I'm an advocate of, because I think you need it throughout the year. Because it don't make sense to me to get a $5,000 refund, but you in so much debt to where you had to take that same 5 and pay off everything anyway. So, that's crazy to me. Understanding how to utilize, how to play that game is very important. So like you said, mastering the W-4, but right now you're probably going to have to reach out to somebody to get a better understanding. But I'm with you on getting more of your money throughout the year so you can invest, so you can buy into retirement. You can do all the things you need to do to be successful for 52 weeks as opposed to waiting for one lump sum.
We may have to do a whole video on that and just try to post it, because so many people are lost on that. And it's like you said, with the mindset, is a lot of time mindset starts with education. If you don't have the education there, how can your mind get there? Because all your mind is based on is your experience and fear, right? So anyway, I kind of got sidetracked, but you were going to go into it. You were saying how laws are changing for, was it network marketers or people that got their own business?
Talked about 1099s.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game changer. Like starting in 2020, in a few months.
You mean 2022?
I mean 2022. they will start tracking your payments now through Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. So you get, like, people who use credit cards, usually at the end of the year, they get what they call a 1099K.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who accept payments through credit cards. Now, before, a lot of people didn't get that credit card statement. They didn't get that statement showing you need to report it as income, because you had to have over $20,000 in transactions or over $200 in a number of transactions. So if you did more than 200 transactions, then you would get a statement. Or if you made more than 20,000, you would get a statement. So a lot of people pretty much flew under the radar who was accepting that, because they didn't get a 1099K, because they didn't do 200 transactions. They didn't do 20,000 on credit card or any of those. Now they didn't reduce that number to $600. So that means that if you basically use it,
not 200 transactions anymore through Venmo, PayPal, $600.
The transaction,
that big old transition. That is that what you're saying?
The transaction amount is gone. So it don't matter if you did one transaction for $700, you're gonna get a statement. If you made $600 or more, you're gonna get a statement. It ain't 20,000 no more. And the reason why I say that's gonna be a game changer, think of how many people accept money by Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, credit cards that went under the radar.
Don't claim it.
Don't claim it, because you ain't get no statement. It wasn't reported to the IRS because it didn't meet the criteria. Most of those people, 99.8 of those percentage of those people gonna do more than $600. So now, if I did $5,000, I'm getting a statement from the IRS that I have to file that. So it's gonna be so many people now that's gonna be in a position where they gotta file taxes where they never filed before, based on money they're receiving through all the electronic payment systems. That's millions.
Do you think that's going to hurt small business owners and make it, I don't know, harder to get into that? Like, because some people say, like, even with current politics, right? Our current president or previous president, whatever you want to believe, with them in place, is that it's making it harder for the small business owners. But you understand tax laws. So do you think this really hurts small business owners, or is the window still open for business owners, period?
No, business owners gonna always win. I tell you, business owners always win in tax game. Like
even if they're small or independent.
Even if they're small, because see, what we have to understand is the people who make the laws. If you pay attention, I tell you, if you pay attention, whenever they make a whole lot of different tax laws, even if it hurt people, in most cases, The business laws don't, because most of your lawmakers are entrepreneurs. So they're not, it's like, it don't, a lawmaker who make $300,000, $400,000, he ain't tripping on now with somebody with two small children, they can no longer get 3,000, they only get 1,500. That ain't gonna affect him because he's not a low income person. So he's not worried about that. But if you change a business law that's going to be negatively impacted by business people, then that's going to impact him too. So the lawmakers never change business laws for the worse. They don't ever change business laws for the worse, and not even small people, because most of the time, when you can take advantage of anything that's big business, you can take advantage of it as small business. Any write-offs that they put into place, any deductions they put into place, usually small business owners can benefit from that, because business is usually consistent across the table as far as the laws, what you can write off, how much you can write off. So that usually applies no matter what. So typically, all these tax laws always work for business owners. So even with the 1099, now people don't see it from a standpoint of, oh, I got to report this money now. The thing is again, if you learn to play the game, because even if I made $10,000 and they send me a statement, and I know how to keep up with all my expenses, and I understand my mileage, depreciation, gas, meals, entertainment. That means if I do all that anyway, and I write that off, and I write $8,000 off on $10,000, I made $10,000 tax free, but I'm only paying taxes on $2,000. That's still a win situation.
Definitely a win.
$8,000 tax free. But the only thing that we're going to see it as a hurting situation is because we didn't have to report none of it at first. We was under the radar. But under the radar is not always good, because the thing is, it don't allow you to grow. If you consistently trying to get around the system, you're going to never put yourself in a position where people need to know what you're doing. Most of the time, if you're trying to make moves, somebody got to know what you're doing. Definitely. But we never want to get in that position because we're trying to get around everything. And us trying to get around it won't allow us to grow. And that's how you basically win in business. You play with other people's money. So now having this money to show on paper can be a benefit if you learn how to leverage it.
Definitely.
And he is learning how to leverage it.
I think like with Grant Cardone, or not even, I would say that's why Grant Cardone pushed real estate big time, specifically even commercial real estate. And then you look at Robert Kiyosaki again, he pushes commercial, or he pushes real estate in general. But the reason Grant Cardone pushed, or both of them, I would assume, push real estate a lot, is because of the OPM. You're able to leverage someone else's money for an asset. While you're leveraging that money, you're also able to be able to buy things and live a life a certain way off of OPM, right? So going into that, I always suggest that people, because some people, the saying is everybody's not meant to be a business owner. And I'm like, that's complete BS, because if you look at the tradition of human nature, we all before the industrial age, everyone came from some family that did something independently, and that's how they made money. Granted, with information, with IT, the internet, everything, we don't have to go out there and figure out how to eat or figure out how to find shelter and different things. So our environment is a lot different. To where our need for business is not necessarily strong. Some people want to live a more simple life, and I get it. It's nothing wrong with that. But I tell people that even if you want a simpler life, you should still have some type of business. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a tax pro, and I always tell people this. Say, for instance, if you hired your kid, and you hired your kid, and you hired them as your personal, I don't know, when they do their chores, they're your personal housekeeper. You may not actively be going out to make income, but you still, in a sense, want to take advantage of tax laws. So can you kind of tell me that in the sake of if people wanted to hire the kids and the tax benefit. And also some people that say, for instance, if they bake a cake here and there throughout the year and they want to make some little bit of income, but they don't want to go as aggressive in business. Like, how can both of those scenarios benefit somebody?
Well, I'm with you 100% because I say that everybody should have a business. Now, my next book basically is going to be called "If You Have a Job and Don't Have a Business, You Crazy as Hell, Shotty." That's the title of my next book. Because
I'm curious how you came up with that. You had to throw the shotty in there?
Yeah, I had to throw the shotty in there. Now, don't be on social media #winning if you work in a job and you don't have a business. And the reason why I say that is because rich and successful people sometimes get businesses just for the tax breaks. As you were stating, because if I'm working a job and somebody's taking 40 to 50% of my money and I'm doing 100% of the work, I ain't winning.
Yeah.
Don't be #winning if you basically got a job with no business. And this is why I say the business actually works out. Even if you're baking cakes, if you're doing whatever, start it as a legitimate business because I'm doing all these things anyway. I'm using my computer. I'm using the internet. I'm using the phone. I'm using my car. I'm buying product. I'm doing all of these things anyway. But if I don't have a business, it just goes to waste. But if I have a business and I buy all these supplies, my cell phone, and now it helps me save, let's say even if it helped me save $1,500 for on my taxes at the end of the year because I had the small business, that means my cell phone paid for itself through my business. That means it paid for itself. And so this is why it makes sense because when you go back to the W-4, the business also can allow me to bring back more money home every pay period. If I have more money to come home, I can live a better quality of life because see, now I can adjust my W-4 where I got more money coming home because I have something to offset it. Because people say, well, if I got more money coming home, won't I owe at the end of the year because I'm not having as much taxes taken out? No, if you have a legal tax shelter, which is a business. Because now I'm writing off all of the things I spend money on with my business, which is a tax shelter, which allows me to get my money throughout the year, and I don't end up owing at the end. So it's a mechanism to play that game as well when you start talking about having your own business. So now you got to get in it and try to legitimately make a profit, but realistically, it ain't gonna always happen that way. Sometimes we're going to spend more money than we make. And this is where the tax benefit comes in at. Yeah, so I would say definitely. Now, like you said, people say, well, everybody ain't meant to have a business, which is fine. And I'm a believer that because somebody is the employee. But my thing is, don't cry to me about no money. Don't cry to me about, oh, I'm working all these hours and still the ends ain't meeting. But I don't want to be no entrepreneur. Then you don't basically want to change your situation.
Right. So you're paying taxes on that income, but now also every time you go to the store, buy anything, go out to eat, you're spending money on taxes. Or you're paying taxes.
Yeah, you're paying. And so my thing is, don't complain about your current situation if you're not willing to make a move. And I tell you, well, one of the ways you can probably get more of your money back to come home is start a business. Oh, well, everybody ain't no business. Okay. All right, I dig it. You ain't, but just don't cry to me about your money being funny when I'm giving you a legal loophole to get more of your money back.
And then something else I do is like, as far as tracking taxes, like I put all my expenses on one credit card. And obviously, I pay it off. I don't have an ongoing thing. But even a benefit on me being able to track it for someone who's going to pay who's going to file my taxes or, strategize. Now you have a way to see exactly what's going to my business because I'm tracking it all on one credit card. Even another benefit from there, I'm tracking it all on the credit card, but I'm also developing points. So then those points allow you to go, not really have to pay little to anything for travel and, all those different things. So does that make life for people like you easier?
that's a whole nother game.
Yeah, I know.
But when you talked about what young people need to do starting off, when I said treat your business like a business, this is what I'm talking about. Get a business debit card, get a business credit card, and put everything on that business credit card, because now you don't have to worry about tracking your expenses because everything's in one house.
Yeah.
So you use that business credit card for everything, like everything you're going to do business. So that way, when you get the statement at the end of the year, it already show your dining, your travel, your miscellaneous, your advertising. It's already broken down, so you don't really have to keep record keeping that much. So that's one of the things you want to do when you legitimize the business bank account, legitimize the business credit card from the beginning. Do all of those things. And then, like you said, now a whole nother component is playing the game. Is now, like you said, I'm using it for everything, but I'm getting points. So I may cash those points in for Office Max gift card. So now I might get a $250 Office Max gift card, which I can go buy supplies, and it's free. It's free 200. So I'm saving it. Like you said, if it's traveling, I'm basically I'm leaving to go to Dubai Saturday. I booked that flight to Dubai on points from a business credit card. And then I leave there, I go to Maldives, I leave to Maldives and I go to Singapore. But then from Singapore back to Atlanta, I use points again from my credit cards. We just came from Detroit and from in Cleveland on tour. And a couple of people that was on tour, they sent me a lot of clients. I said, you know what? I got y'all hotel. I use my Marriott points to book their hotel fee. Still, I didn't got major love from them now. And I ain't spent a penny out of my pocket to do it. And you don't think they're going to keep sending me clients now?
Right. And so that's crazy. Yeah.
Understand this concept. You went all the way around. So a lot of it is positioning, and you got to position yourself from the beginning. So when you talk about, again, when I'm just starting my business, because see, the business credit card, you got to put that under your tax ID number. So if I don't because you want your business to start building business credit. So in the beginning, when I first start my business, I want to make sure I get a tax ID number as well to disassociate my social from my business. So that's part of all the things you need to do to start in the beginning.
That's some powerful stuff. So I didn't want to forget the access, because I know I mentioned it earlier. I said there's two types of people that I wanted to talk about. So we have the person who wants to start their own business and leverage everything that we just spoken about. Now, let me ask you this. In your company, are you the only one? Do you hire preparers?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't, do you personally do the taxes, or you hire preparers? And like, how does that work versus like going to, if you're not the person doing the taxes, and if they wanted to go to like Turbo, if you do have preparers, do you guide them throughout the way? Like, tell me about that process.
No, I have a training thing. I have a training, and in fact, I'm looking for young people now because, basically, like I said, I've been on a millennial tip for years, and I want to bring millennials, because I'm like, if I could give you, and this is the beautiful part of working with me though, if I can give you everything I have, all the knowledge, experience, everything at 25, by 30, you'll be a master at stuff. And so I do believe in bringing in staff and teaching them everything. I do pretty much the closing part of it. Like my staff they'll do the majority of input and stuff, and then they'll give it to me, and I'll kind of review it, discuss it, and close it out with you. So I don't do everything from A to Z no more, because you got to understand, I can't put my hands on thousands of returns to be effective. So I got to train people to know what I know. If I train you to know what I know, then you don't always need me, which is a good thing, because I have a concept called HTTD. It's hire, train, trust, and delegate. You got to understand this in business to grow your business, because if you talk about get to the levels that I've gotten to, like multiple, at one point I had 11 offices. I'm starting to build back up to more offices. When you start talking about doing the amount of numbers and money that I do, you can't do that by yourself. It's not enough time a day, for one, and it's burnout. So you got to understand. And then if I want to live like a boss and travel and do things, business don't stop. So business can't stop. Ain't nobody trying to hear that I'm about to take a trip when they need their stuff done. So I got to put people in position that know what I know so stuff can still get done while I'm gone. And so,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
I'm going to train my people. I train anybody that bring on. And this is why I tell people, you got to get in a position where you got to bring a team on if you're talking about massive success.
So if I knew, like, if I was a person, I was like, hey, Brian, I want to learn how to do taxes because my job, I love my job or I don't like my job, but I'm looking to make some extra income. If I'm coming to you, what is the process for me to start my own tax business so I can actually be a business owner versus a temporary preparer?
Yeah, I have a course that I started. I started creating a course for people that's in the industry to teach, because it's a lot of people that really get in and for some extra money. There's a lot of people out there jacking folks up, and so I say, well, I created a course because I get so many tax professionals who come to me with questions and want to learn. So I created a course basically to really mentor them. Now it's at a cost, but if you're looking to get in the business, then I will basically give you this course. I will walk through with you, give you a better understanding how it works and kind of show you. Now, I'm not an advocate of you really starting your first year because you don't know a whole lot. You can probably start doing some minimal returns and the process kind of goes on. But if you want to get in it yourself, I teach you how to get the necessary numbers from the IRS, which is what we call a PTIN number. You got to have a PTIN number for the IRS, and so you get that, you register that. Then once you start doing your own and transmit your return, you got to get an EFIN number, which is the number that allows you to send returns electronically. But you got to do an application. You have to do a background check. You have to do fingerprint. So you have to do all of those things to make you legit. And then I teach you understanding the game, and so it's the only thing with this tax industry is nothing that's really structured that say that you have to do this to be a part of it. Now they start putting the numbers in, had to register the numbers, and that scared a lot of people away. But you could wake up tomorrow and say, I want to start doing taxes. And you can just start promoting that you do taxes and get TurboTax and do people taxes because it's not regulated like that.
Now,
and
do
so
you
that's
teach
why
these people? I'm sorry. Do you teach these people how to get their own clients, or do you have clients, so many clients that sometimes you pass them on?
Well, I teach you techniques, so I don't really pass my clients on unless you come under my umbrella. Gotcha. Now, I started franchising my business years ago, so if you decide you want to come in as a franchisee, kind of work with me, now I'll have clients. If you say, all right, I live in Decatur, my office is in Smyrna, and so if I get a couple people that call me and say, well, Brian, I live in Decatur, I say, well, know what, I may have somebody in Decatur that can take care of you. So I'll refer clients out like that. If somebody want to come in office and they say, well, I don't want to drive all the way to Smyrna, like, well, I got somebody in Decatur that can work with you. So I'll give clients out like that. I do show you how to get clients, basically. But again, this business and the type of clients that I deal with, those clients basically just want to know that you know what you're doing. They want to be able to talk to you and say, I feel comfortable with you after you explained everything to me. Because it's different type of people getting in the industry. It's like most people that I deal with will not look at a sign on a building and just go there without knowing nobody. Because most of the people I deal with are business owners. They're homeowners. They're rental property owners. So those people have a little bit more value. So they want personal references. They want people to say, well, you know what, go see this person. Go see Brian. They go see this person because they know what they're doing. They always take care of me. Or if they see you on videos and they see you doing lives and you're giving tax knowledge, that makes them feel comfortable. Most of those individuals are not going to look at a sign and say, oh, there's a new tax company. Let me go get my taxes done. That's usually your lower income clients because they have nothing to lose. They don't have no house. They don't have no car. They don't have no, well, I ain't seen no car, but they don't have no house. They don't have no rental properties. They don't have that. So theirs is cut and dry. So they can go to 5 different people and their results are going to be the same. So they don't really have that. So if you say you get back $8,000, they're like, okay, let's do it. They don't even have to know your background. They just want to know that I'm getting back $8,000. I don't care how you did it. If you say I'm getting back $8,000, let's go. People who have more to lose don't just go to people blindly. And this is what I teach and tell people and show you how to get that clientele. Because see, what happens is the lower income people, they will go somebody different every year. If you say I can get it back faster, if I can get you more money, you'd be like, all right. People who have value, they don't like switching from year to year.
That makes sense.
And just like, with you being in financial services, you got clients that don't want to give their social and their bank account to a different person every year.
Yeah.
So they want to have clients, they want to have somebody they know they can get with and they can ride with this person forever.
Definitely somebody that they trust.
And so I put you in position to kind of show you how to find those clients, basically how to be of value to those clients.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So with all of that being said, what makes you different from like what you do versus them having to go through a CPA, a certified public accountant?
Well, the difference is both of us are pretty much in the same line. Now, the difference with me, I'm a certified tax practitioner. Basically, what I do is I focus primarily on taxes, individual, small business, corporate taxes. That's my main focus. But I can do financials. I can help you with audits. I can do profit and loss balance sheets. I can do those, but that's not my main focus. We do bookkeeping, but that's not our main focus. CPAs, their main focus is more of audits, bookkeeping, accounting, financial statements, and then they can do taxes. So my main focus is taxes, but I can do the rest. Their main focus is audits and financials, but they can do taxes. So that's pretty much the biggest difference. More CPAs now do more taxes than they did because when the market started crashing before and a lot of businesses was closing, if businesses are closing, that means there's no bookkeeping, there's no accounting. So if there's not as many people doing bookkeeping and accounting, I may have to do more taxes. So more CPAs got more into taxes, but realistically, they don't like dealing with small taxes.
Yeah.
They don't deal with small taxes. And then it's the pricing because, CPAs, and I'm not a CPA, but I do a lot of CPA taxes though, because a lot of CPAs don't focus on taxes. And when they CPA, sometimes it's just the pricing, it's not the knowledge because they figure because they're a CPA and they have that behind their name, their price is going to be much more. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, because they pay for their education, they pay for their knowledge, but sometimes that is the difference that they will seek a different clientele because they know with that, they can say, this is how much I charge. And most people will pay it because we get caught up in alphabet sometimes.
Makes sense. Okay. So how can someone reach you? Because I know we're approaching tax season soon. Maybe you can give them a code, I don't know, discounted or something. I don't know how you run your business. Maybe it could be like Danny Renee if they come through, the podcast, but how can people reach you and make sure they get that special attention after listening to this podcast?
Yeah. And first of all, I always say call my office, go to my website. Secondly, and I'll get that information. Secondly, they don't get no different special attention just because they came through your podcast.
I love it.
Everybody's going to get the same attention. I don't care. Like I said, I focus on business, but even if you don't have a business, we're going to treat you the same. We're going to treat you the same, and so.
That's a good treatment or?
Oh, good treatment. You don't get 25 years in this industry, basically by referrals primarily. You're talking about going 25 years by referrals, multiple locations around the country by referrals. The type of money that we charge for our taxes and people still come back, that's value. So that means that a lot of people love what we're doing. Now, when I say special attention in a sense, yeah, we will. If they say, all right, Denny Renee basically came and, she referred us. All right, well, for that, we'll give you 20% off or something like that. We'll work something to that extent, but not necessarily where you're going to be treated like, oh, well, now we're going to give you the extra VIP. Because I don't do VIPs. Everybody is VIP. And they laugh at me all the time because they tell me that I don't like celebrities. I don't like, the clients that I have that's so-called celebrities. And if it's from the housewives, if it's from wherever, because I don't give them no special attention. Like especially when they come in thinking that because they who they are, I supposed to drop everything. Because my thing is that I got more clients that's not celebrities than that is. So I'm not willing to basically lose the thousands that I have that don't have the same visibility as you over one or two clients that, think they have some type of special treatment. So I treat all my clients great. I treat everybody as VIP, and so, well, I ain't gonna say all of them. The ones who don't want to pay their bill, though, they don't get the same. But but we always work something out. So y'all can actually go to my website at lbtaxservice.com. That's LB, like Larry Bryan, taxservice.com. So you can go to the website. There's listings of the different things you can write off in business. There's the contact numbers, email, or you basically can you can go to, like I say, website lbtaxservice.com. You can call us at the office 678-213-1141. One of the things that make us different is we work all year round. Most tax offices, the biggest complaint we get is after April, after May, you can't get in touch with nobody. And so we work not 24/7, but we work every day of the year, pretty much around the clock. So we don't stop. I may not have a big staff the whole year, but somebody's here every day that you can reach somebody and leave a message. Or if you catch us after hours, we're gonna return your call the next day. And then you can follow me on IG. Like I said, I'm usually doing videos once a week on IG, and giving a lot of this same information. Like I just did a course about a week and a half ago. It's on how understanding taxes, understanding the filing status. And this was for personal. I'm doing another one for business coming up, but this one was for personal. Understanding the filing status. Who's single, who's head of household, who's married joint. Understanding those, understanding the different credits if you have kids. So I did a whole breakdown on understanding taxes, and so I continuously do those things. So Rich Boi, RichBoiJup1. Rich Boi Jupe is my Instagram, so, follow me and you'll get a lot of these nuggets, man, because I want to see my young people grow because I'm excited. I always say I want to be responsible for having young people say, if it wasn't for Rich Boi, I wouldn't have been a millionaire. I want 1,000 of those people to say that. If he wouldn't have gave me this insight, if he wouldn't have mentored me, if he wouldn't have told me this, I don't know if I would have been a millionaire. I want to, and I don't know if it's selfish or not, but I want people to say that about me. And so
because that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you do that because I love and I understand, like, ain't nobody giving you chances until you didn't got to this certain level and you didn't did this and did that. And and so my whole thing is that if I can give you a chance, and you're serious about it, man, you can do so much, in 5 years. And I always say, most people, I'm probably the most successful person, and I don't say that arrogantly, that most people know. And when I talk about that, I don't necessarily talk about that in the terms of money. Now, I'm blessed to basically do whatever I want. And I always say I'm not the most, I know there's a lot of people that have more money than me, but there's not very many people that have more success than me. And success means something different to everybody. But when you live life on your own terms, that could be success to somebody. And that's the one thing that I want to give people that I've been happy to do is live life on my own terms. Come and go as I want, pretty much. Not have to worry about money, not have to worry about bills, not have to worry about that. And if you can get this concept early on, just think about having that freedom at 30 or 30-something years old, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But we just don't basically surround ourselves with people who's done it and then willing to give it to you. And so that's what I want to be, to the millennials.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I really appreciate that response because that was like I think like one of the most genuine responses. It was real. So but yeah, so anyways, I really appreciate you for coming on the Millennial Network podcast, feeding into other millennials. Definitely gonna have to do this again because there's gonna be more questions like I know taxes is something that we can always talk about. Yeah. So anyways, Millennial Network Podcast. This is your girl, Coach Danny Renee, with Brian here. And y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all soon.